Welcome back to the news at 10. The power of the youth in Africa should be harnessed, and their ability to drive innovation must be encouraged and given an opportunity to thrive. That's according to the founder of Microsoft, Mr. Bill Gates, who was keynote speaker today at the 14th Annual Nelson Mandela Foundation Lecture in Pretoria, South Africa. Mr. Gates identified economic, health and social challenges prevailing within the continent as some factors that could hinder developmental policies and strategies.
Gathered here at the University of Pretoria in South Africa are students, professionals and philanthropists. They are attending the 14th Annual Nelson Mandela Lecture with the theme, Living Together. Chancellor of the University of Johannesburg, Professor Njabulo Ndebele, says this year's edition in the series is dedicated to the people of Mamelodi community for their contribution to the efforts to liberate South Africa during apartheid rule.
We believe
he also addresses issues surrounding globalization.
To the community of Mamelodi, thank you for receiving us. We have dedicated this 14th Nelson Mandela Annual Lecture to those from Mamelodi who lost their lives in the long and never to be forgotten struggle for the liberation of South Africa. The dream of inclusion is swallowed up by the reality of exclusion. The effects of being lost and discarded can be devastating. But we continue to weave.
The keynote speaker, who is also the founder of Microsoft, Mr. Bill Gates, explains the theme Living Together was the founding principle on which Nelson Mandela led his life.
Members of the Mamelodi families.
He speaks on the need for Africa to fulfill its potential by empowering its youth to drive innovation.
Nelson Mandela said, poverty is not natural. It is man-made and it can be overcome and eradicated by the actions of human beings. We are the human beings that must take action. And we have to decide now because this unique moment won't last. We must clear away the obstacles that are standing in young people's way so that they can seize all of their potential. If young people are sick and malnourished, their bodies and brains will never fully develop. If they are not educated well, their minds will lie dormant. If they do not have access to economic opportunities, they will not be able to achieve their goals. But if we invest in the right things, if we make sure the basic needs of Africa's young people are taken care of, then they will have the physical, cognitive, and emotional resources they need to change the future.
Mr. Gates goes on to list a few of Africa's young innovators that are challenging the norm by introducing technology to solve daily personal and public problems. In addition, he calls on African leaders to support effective and visionary governance across the continent.
In a few days, I'll be meeting with some of these young innovators. People like the 21-year-old who founded Kenya's first software coding school to provide other young people with computer programming skills. And like the 23-year-old social entrepreneur here in South Africa who manufactures school bags from recycled plastic shopping bags. In Nigeria, 30-year-old Olushe Unumbinde gave up a career in banking 5 years ago to devote himself full-time to pulling back the curtain on the Nigerian federal expenditure. With savvy use of data and social media, he founded Budget IT Nigeria, a website that provides facts and figures the average Nigerian can understand. No doubt he's a thorn in the side of some of Nigeria's elite, but to me he's an example of what one person can do to make a difference.
This year's edition of the annual lecture might have come to an end, but participants here will leave knowing that the dialogue on how to address socio-economic challenges we face today continues.
Joining me now to assess the potential and performance of the African youth on the development of the continent is a motivational speaker, Mr. Ochuko Agre. Thank you for joining us tonight on the News at 10.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure coming here.
Great to have you. Well, we heard Mr. Gates talking about developing potential and fulfilling potentials. It's not the first time we've heard these, inspiring and motivational talks. So
yes.
What really is missing? Why do we hear these things and then we don't implement them, we don't apply them?
Firstly, I think the youths have to take on these positions, because leadership on its own is more a function of disposition than it is of position rather. So you can actually start from where you are. And I think the greatest challenge the youths have is focusing on what they do not have, because they are looking at all the things that are not going right, and in the process they are missing what they can actually do from where they are. So if they look a bit more inside, I believe you'd have a lot more activity going on with the youths.
Yeah, and I remember the discussion I had with you before you came into the studio. You were saying that developed countries also have high unemployment rates.
Oh yes, yes.
And they seem to have everything.
No, you see, over here it's almost like a cliche. Government is not doing this. We have power problems. We grapple with the power problems. I mean, I pay double bills. I pay for my office, for my house, and I have generating sets that I also pay extra for. But like I said, even in developed countries, they have some of these amenities, and we still have unemployment. So let's move beyond that. Government has its responsibilities, but there's how much we can do on our own. While we're waiting for the government, because we've been waiting for so long, it's time for the youth to take on responsibilities and go for the kill.
Oh, wow. Away from government support, what else do youths need to do for themselves? A young man is probably sitting down at home and just thinking, okay, I'm waiting for paid employment.
Yes.
I mean, he's waiting for stipends coming from time to time.
Okay.
And,
yes, well, that stems from the fact that where we're coming from, you are taught to go to school so you can get a good job and you can get a pension and you can retire well. And if you don't make school, learn a trade so you can have something for yourself. That was the mindset. Now, I mean, you're not even sure of your pension with the kind of things that are happening in the country. And there's a law in economics that says law. It states that demand creates its own supply. So rather than looking at all the challenges and all the things that are not going right, it's time for the youth to look at them as opportunities and grab them. So everything that you think is not happening is actually an opportunity for you to make something happen and make a difference, not just for your country, but first for yourself.
Would you say there's always a market?
Oh, there's always a market. I mean, Nigeria, we're talking almost 200 million people with all the upheavals. How many companies have you seen run back to their country? I mean, amongst all the multinational. The driving force is you have about 190 million people. And there's no war here. They keep coming. Why? They see opportunities. While people are saying this state is crowded, this place is noisy, every other person is seeing it as an opportunity to make something out of it. So it's time that we start looking from that angle.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight and speaking to us about youth developing their potential. The governors of Adamawa State in the northeast and Nasarawa State in north-central Nigeria have restated their commitment to sustaining developmental projects in their states. To this end, Governor Jibrila of Adamawa State has flagged off the construction of the abandoned 37-kilometer Kiri-Sheleng Road in the headquarters of Sheleng local government area of the state, which was awarded several times by previous administrations. And in Nasarawa State, the governor, Tanko Almakura, has visited the ongoing road construction at Tudunkauri Street of Lafia local government area, a floodplain responsible for past ecological problems in the state.
The mere sight of heavy-duty equipment and the level of work done even before this official flag-off ceremony excites the people of Sheleng. For a local government area established in 1976, the people say before now the condition of the Kiri-Sheleng Road leaves a bad memory in the minds of their people.
Right from when we were infants, every other politician that comes into Sheleng to sit for votes, he will promise and sometimes they will even avoid contract. But unfortunately, we have never, none of them have ever shown any seriousness.
There are lots of people that die because of the roughness of the road. Some pregnant women, when they have problems, if they get referrals to Numan or Yola, before they cross this road, they die. And also, this road will boost our economy, because most of the vehicles, instead of the vehicle to have a lifespan for 10 years, to stay for only 3 years because of the bad road.
Today, the 37-kilometer road is being constructed at 3.2 billion naira, and the state governor, Mohammed Jibrila, says it won't be abandoned this time.
It's the only local government has not been connected to the state capital in terms of road infrastructure like this. So I think not only political promises that we have done, but it is only humane also to carry them along because they are part of this state.
Elsewhere in Nasarawa State, Governor Tanko Almakura is in Lafia local government area to see the ongoing road construction at Tudun Kauri Street. He restates his commitment to fixing problems in floodplains to cushion ecological problems in the state.
We are going to work hard to ensure that such storm water channels that have caused deaths and loss of life are handled very soon. The residents in this area will have very wonderful road with effective drains and even have walkways.
Over the past years, residents of the floodplain area have suffered hardship as a result of heavy downpour, and with this project, the governor says that the hardship will soon be a thing of the past.
Residents of Wukari community in Taraba State are looking inwards for solutions to their differences after being divided for almost 3 years by armed conflict. Residents of the area and environs had taken arms against each other at least 8 times between 2013 and November last year on account of ethno-religious disagreements. Now, wary of fighting, opinion leaders in the community are faulting government's handling of the crisis, seeking proactive methods of keeping the peace.
Etisala, now you're talking.
Wukari, a town 211 kilometers from Jalingo, the capital city of Taraba, is home to about 300,000 people. The indigenous language spoken in the town since 1596 is Jukun. For decades, the people were content with their agrarian and communal lifestyle until the year 2013, when sectarian conflict erupted. After 8 clashes, the Christian and Muslim community groups now live in isolation from each other, in fear and suspicion. A Muslim couple, Aisha and Muhammad Waziri, welcome us into their partially destroyed home. Aisha is the daughter of a Christian mother who is now forced to live apart from her maternal relatives.
Our children do not go to their schools. They have their own schools and we have ours too. Because whatever happens and there's a need to run, we suffer the most when our children are not within our reach.
The Christian victim, an over 100-year-old Jukun woman, now lives with her son after losing her home in the crisis. She has many Muslim grandchildren, but is worried by the hate crimes being carried out by the younger generation in Wukari.
In my time, we didn't have these kinds of quarrels. We lived peacefully with each other and enjoyed our stay together with the Hausa, Jukun, Muslims and Christians. I don't know what has come over the young people of this generation. I'm not happy.
The leadership of both Christian and Muslim groups believe that government has not shown enough commitment to restoring total peace in the area.
Upon all this crisis, upon all this, more than 2 years now, nobody, single person now, was ever caught and sent for trial
So this is what is affected. Whoever does anything, whatever you do, you do it. Nobody will interrogate him, nobody will do this. Because there are people in this town who are above the law.
The government should do something. If there's something that you call them together for a dialogue, you call all the group involved together and have a dialogue with them. But if you wait that we are going to form a committee, before you form a committee, it will take 2 months, 3 months, a year. And before that time, things have been destroyed.
According to officials, local efforts by the Wukari Traditional Council to reconcile warring parties have repeatedly proved futile in the past.
The Traditional Council has attempted several times to create peace in Wukari, but each time they do so, the other side will pick a quarrel with the Traditional Council.
We have been having these challenges in Taraba State, and at a point the governor discovered that some traditional rulers were aiding these criminals who were coming in to, destroy our communities. He had to discipline them, and that discipline has brought about, a normalcy into most of our communities.
Mundane issues ranging from football match scores, election results, and inciting comments have led to violent clashes. The last conflict experienced in the town was in November 2015, and as residents count their losses, they are hopeful that this prevailing peace can be sustained.
Achievable, now you're talking.
Still ahead of the news at 10, as security concerns are heightening, host Brazil holds opening ceremony security drill ahead of the Olympics in Rio. We'll have more sports news. Please stay with us.